And we are live. How's it going, everyone? I have a very special guest from Mini Royale today. This game's been great. It's one of the kind of blockchain games that is actually out. It's a first-person shooter. I know some of the guys at the DeFi Direct team, BSC News, Solana, we've been having a blast playing it. But without further ado, Alex Paley, the CEO, the co-founder of Faraway, is here to join us. How's it going, Alex?
Pretty good. No, glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Awesome for you to be here. Apologies for butchering your title. I went to say Mini Royale, but we can kind of get into the difference there. And yeah, just to kick things off, for those who are unaware, can you touch on your role at Faraway, Mini Royale, and some past experience? Maybe clear up what the difference is there for people like myself.
Yep. So I'm the co-founder of Faraway. My other co-founder is Dennis. We've actually known each other for 20 plus years, have worked together over the past decade, all in gaming. So yeah, co-founder of Faraway. Faraway is the developer that makes MiniRoyale Nations. As far as background goes, I've been in gaming since I was 18 years old, like making games in my high school computer science class. So this is going back all the way to the beginning of the iPhone, beginning of the App Store. I had a mobile gaming studio with my co-founder. We ended up selling that studio to Glue Mobile. I was, both of us were heads of studio at Glue Mobile, which is a big free-to-play gaming company based in SF. And then most recently, we were VPs of product at Scopely, which is another big free-to-play gaming company based in Los Angeles. So, and we've always been excited about open economies, and that brings us to what we're doing at Faraway.
Amazing. And just to jump in here, I think something that is incredibly notable and kind of has been the buzz in the blockchain gaming, GameFi space, whatever you want to label it as, is actual game developers building games. I know there's a clip that was going around of SBF talking about how he thinks actual game studios that are looking to onboard crypto mechanics are probably going to be a lot more successful than crypto natives looking to build a game, right? Because obviously building a game is hard. So I think that's really interesting. Also, specifically that you say you guys are and have been interested in open economies, which is kind of the fundamental basis of blockchain gaming. To move this forward a little bit, can you outline sort of the premise of Mini Royale Nations and what the future vision is? Because I know there's a working product now, but it sounds like it's really only the beginning.
Yeah, so what we have right now, it's MiniRoyale.io. This is our open beta, and this is the open beta mostly about demonstrating the core shooter gameplay for all the people. So over 2 million people have played this game. We have, now I think it's close to 400, 500,000 monthly active users. It's growing like by the day, by the hour. So it's really exciting. The way that we like to describe MiniRoyale is it's a browser-based first-person shooter set on top of this like ever-evolving like land ownership, land control oriented social strategy game. So the goal is to bring people into the game through like a very easy to understand experience, which is that browser-based first-person shooter, and then gradually move them into these more like economic and politically motivated types of gameplay, which is around land ownership, land control, taking over nations, forming clans, forming alliances. But in the end, right, it's like there's a lot of friction in blockchain gaming. Like the users need to understand, how do I download a wallet? What is a Web3 wallet? Like what is a blockchain, right? It's like we're building on top of Solana. Like what is the differences between all these things? There's so much complexity that what we wanted to do was just, given there's so much complexity and like understanding what the blockchain is and like how a person actually starts playing a blockchain game, we wanted to introduce players to a game mechanic or like a genre that had like almost no complexity for onboarding. So for us, you can get into playing the shooter in a matter of 10 seconds, right? You go to MiniRoyale.io, everybody knows how to play a shooter, right? It's WASD on the keyboard and a left click with your mouse. There's almost no friction in onboarding onto the shooter genre, and for us that was really, really meaningful.
Yeah, and something that definitely stood out to me, I jumped in your guys's town hall the other day. I think it was yesterday. I was driving home and just wanted to tune in. And something you mentioned is like, there's a few core things, right? Like the game needs to be fun, But you guys aren't trying to build this next CS:GO or Valorant sort of crazy competitive mechanic-based shooter. You have this kind of overarching meta game, I think, where you do have these lands, the clans, land rulers, and I think that's what truly kind of regards these social aspects. Something that right away when I popped in, and it seems like you guys are going a step further, is it just kind of had like that fun feel of me logging on and playing something like Battlefield Heroes with my friends, where it's like, look, I'm not trying to be the best, but I know I'm going to jump on, have a ton of fun, and there's ways for me to explore. And I think that is really important for just onboarding all users. And then, of course, the open economy is kind of the crazy end of it, and we'll get into that. Is that kind of what you guys are
That's
looking to do?
exactly it. Yeah, I think you probably said it better than I could say it. But yeah, we're trying to bring a lot of players, right? We're not talking about a million players. We're talking about 50 million, 100 million, like daily active users. That's our goal. Bringing those people like into the game, and the way you do that is through an extremely fun and social experience. Like we're not going after an ultra competitive game. We're just going after a really fun and social game.
Yeah. And kind of just to flip that on the table a little bit, some of the features that I'm looking forward to is it is a PvP shooter. There are kind of modes coming out. What are you guys looking at in the future for things like ranked play, high stakes mode, those sorts of variations? While I know it's not the main focus, it definitely is an important aspect for a lot of gamers. Like I know my friends, they would want to kind of jump into these lobbies, and I know there's definitely merit to them. Where are you guys at with those sort of things?
Yep. So ranked mode is on our roadmap. Like our white paper is whitepaper.miniroyale.io. It's long, but it covers a lot of these upcoming features that we have planned. So ranked mode is one of those features. High stakes mode, where people have they're putting down something that they can lose, whether they're putting down one of our tokens as like a way to enter, or putting down one of their weapons or one of their skins as a way to enter. So yeah, all of this, high stakes mode and ranked modes are coming.
Yeah. And I think this just kind of opens up the discussion into what we're really talking about, things like land and really the open economy. And this is what excites me because I've played a lot of games in the past. I played RuneScape. I was a little bit too young to actually understand and min max what I'm doing, but I've played other sort of um, permadeath games where items are important, things like that, where like in-game economies exist and there would just kind of be real world trade outside of them. So seeing developers actually look and incorporate this into the games, it's amazing. And I'm just kind of like, there's a lot going on. I dropped the white paper in chat for anyone who wants to look at it, but can we just touch on like the different types of currencies? I know there's going to be on-chain and off-chain currencies kind of playing multiple functions and roles here. And
Yeah.
I guess you would know where to start best with that.
Yeah, so I think we can start with orbs. So there are four main types of currencies in this game. There are two that are off-chain and two that are on-chain. Starting with orbs. Orbs is a currency that you win from daily missions, like daily, weekly types of missions. You take those orbs to your refinery, which exists on either a public land or a private land. You then convert those orbs into enriched orbs, which is the second currency. Think of those enriched orbs as like an entry ticket to a clan-based event. So what we're saying is that in order to accrue something of on-chain, like true value, you must participate in some sort of social type of mechanic. So those social types of mechanics are clan wars, clan tournaments, alliance wars, stuff like that. So we believe that we want to force people to be social, or at least incentivize people to be social, because what we are afraid of is you have a lot of people that are grinding like on-chain currencies, but are doing it in a very like antisocial manner. And everybody in gaming knows that the only way a game lasts for 50 years, right, which is our goal, is because the game is fun, and then because of the community that they form in that game, like they're friends. So in order for you to have a long-lasting game, your game needs to be social. You need to incentivize social behavior, because people stick in games because they love the people that they meet in those games. So I just covered those two off-chain currencies. There are two on-chain currencies, Cheddar and Royales. Cheddar is our inflationary utility token, and Royales is our deflationary governance token. Cheddar is earned. It's a currency that players earn. So they earn it through clan wars, right? Any sort of this social mechanic, clan wars, tournaments, wars between nations, or wars between alliances, stuff like that. And then the governance token is something that controls how, gives players like a tangible way to sort of say like how they want the game to evolve over time. So this is like very, very similar to like an SLP and Axie or their AXS tokens.
That's what I was exactly going to say. And like, I think it's important to note that balancing these things isn't easy. And I'm sure like knowing this, it's your kind of the expertise. So to take from a model that's already had a lot of success, I already just like seeing these things. Like you aren't looking to reinvent the wheel. You guys are looking to innovate on it. Kind of looping back to this social aspect. This is what really got me exciting, because I see a lot of these play to earn games, and I know growing up, like I was never this crazy mechanical gamer. So like I see play to earn games and I'm like, okay, I was never an amazing gamer. How am I going to be a top earner? Things like I played League. I was maybe like mid gold, peaked in Overwatch and Valorant, like right outside
better
of
than
Diamond.
Me. Better than me still, but
but there was never just like this point where like I was actually able to compete on a bigger level. But what I do like about games, like I'm a sucker for real-time strategy type things, these social things, and that's where clans, land, and all of this get into it. Before we get into the land, because I think that's where a lot of mechanics really start to come in, and I'm just excited to see as you guys roll out what happens. But touching back on clans, can you elaborate a bit more on sort of the ideas behind clan wars, tournaments, and sort of their economic role in this system of bringing together a community?
Yeah, so right. So I'll just go back a little bit before
Perfect.
we get into that.
Yeah.
So what we noticed in a lot of these play to earn or blockchain games initially is that you sort of had two types of player groups form. You had these antisocial grinders and you had antisocial speculators. And like I was saying before, you know that a game is never going to last for 50 years if you have two types of player bases that are never incentivized to be social, right? Those are the types of player bases that they're very transient, right? It's like they will go where the yield is. One day that yield exists in your game. The next day it might exist in another game. The next day they might go back to drive and grab taxi, right? If they're in the Philippines, because people go where the yield is, especially if the fun and the community aspects do not exist. So now moving into clans, we have said that the only way for a person to actually earn something of on-chain value is by doing something social, right? That's a very like IRL type of mechanic. The only way for you to make money, like in the real world, is you do something that benefits somebody else, right? I think that is a very like natural type of mechanic, right? It's like you can't go and do something by yourself, right? That has no external benefit, and nobody will pay you money for that, right? So the same thing exists in the virtual world. It's like you must do something that has a social benefit in order to earn something of true value. So we've said that the only way for that to happen is you must be social. You join a clan, meaning like you are now playing with friends. You're benefiting like this clan organization, and you're competing against other clans. And those, these clan wars can take the form of like bracket tournaments. They can take the form of like these leaderboard tournaments where maybe it's around doing some PvE type of event where you're completing missions. The faster you complete the mission, the more points you get at the. Wait for that.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. But at the end of the event, you see like, okay, which clans earn the most points based on the number of points that they earned. They get tier 1 rewards or tier 2 rewards, and those rewards can be in the form of NFTs and tokens. So that's and this is all just about coordination. Like sometimes this person in your clan might be really good at this specific type of event. They might have the exact outfit or armor, the exact gun, or the exact like skill set. Whether it's like if you're really good at being like you're really good at like Twitch-based shooting, right? You might be like the one that excels in this specific type of event. And then of course you have people in the clan that are like organizing, right? Sort of the mastermind rules that are trying to organize players together, trying to say like, okay, you're going to play at this specific time. You're going to team up with these specific players because the things that you have in your inventory will complement the things that the other person has in their inventory. So yeah, there's a lot of like social types of, strategies that form during these clan wars and tournaments.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting, and we've seen success of that in other games. Like when I think of clans, there's definitely differences, but just seeing how like it builds a community of things like in Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, people like these clans. Like that's why people still play these games because there's a community. I am seeing some really good questions in chat. I normally don't take chat, but I think these are pretty important to address. Fluxy is saying that don't even compare it to Valorant. You're completely right. This is actually something that came up in the town hall yesterday. Mini
Yep.
Royale isn't trying to be this next Counter-Strike or Valorant. They're not trying to be a heavy mechanical game. They are incorporating these social aspects, making it balanced for every player. So I think that's just something fundamental that Alex was even touching on from the beginning, that they're not specifically looking to build this. I also think another thing that is important is Tamagunchi is asking about AntiCheat. And like being a gamer, you know, this is incredibly important. I know you definitely have a lot to add on here, but my 2 cents are you see things in, and not to compare the gameplay type thing, but you see things in Counter-Strike. I can't remember what the name is, but you literally have people that go and review high-level matches to check out cheaters. People do this for free in games.
Yep.
All I'm saying is one, Fairway. My apologies. I just did a GameFi summit with another project. Faraway has massive developers, so I'm curious how you guys are looking to combat this. But just on the other end, like seeing that you guys are incorporating play to earn aspects and reviewing high level matches, I think that is a very unique feature and has a ton of merit to it. So maybe we'll bounce to AntiCheat for just a quick second here, just to address Tamagunchi's question.
So AntiCheat, I would say, is our #1 priority right now. Like it is, especially when you add these earning mechanics, right, where players are able to earn NFTs or earn tokens. You obviously get a lot of players trying to exploit that earning, like how to earn faster, how to hack the system. So yeah, we're seeing a lot of cheaters, and we are like in now like deep dev on AntiCheat. So MiniRoyale is a browser-based game. So the browser is a lot easier to hack than a client, right? In like a PC client, right? There are solutions that already work, like easy AntiCheat. Those solutions are actually not they're not applicable for a browser game. They just don't work. So we're rolling out a lot of very custom AntiCheat. Some of that is programmatic. Some of that is literally reviewing gameplay matches, reviewing server logs to figure out like, hey, did this person do something in the game that like defies the laws of physics, right? That defies the laws of physics that exist in this game. Like, is this person flying? Is this person killing people at a speed that is like insane? Is this person shooting through walls? There's all these types of things that we are reviewing, both like manually and programmatically. And we are like now, we're building out like literally an anti-cheat team because it is so relevant, especially when people can now earn in the game.
Yeah, and just my take on this, because that was one of the first things that kind of popped into my head. I was like, a browser-based game, but I think there's lots of layers here. And one, okay, hackers are probably going to gravitate towards blockchain games just because of the earning potential, but it's that double-edged sword, right? Blockchain gaming is providing this kind of next level of gaming. It's brought a massive amount of funding into the space, which can only help in developing these things. And then I even think like just this classic example of having people review matches. Like people do this in games like League of Legends and Overwatch for free. Being able to actually incentivize it where it matters in these higher level matches makes a ton of sense. So
for sure,
I definitely see why there is pushback on that, but I think there are pretty unique systems in place, and you sound pretty confident and or at least have it on your radar. And that's the first step, I think, for some of these things.
Just like as a background, I mean, we have over 40 plus people on the team right now. the large majority of the team is engineering. So we have placed like an extreme focus right now on figuring out like how to best solve these cheating issues. Everybody that's on this team has made either massively multiplayer games, whether those are games like World of Tanks or people that we worked with, at either Scopely or Glue before, or have been working on massively social consumer products, whether those are consumer products like Lyft, right, the ride sharing app, worked at Amazon, worked at all of these big tech companies where we have solved like massive problems like at very large scales. So everybody has some at least understanding of how to combat fraud, how to combat botting, how to combat all of these types of hacking or exploits that we find in this game.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting. So I'm curious here. Every time I like rage that I get killed by something, and I'm pressing
Yeah.
that Y button, is someone reviewing that? Is that what's
Yeah,
going on
so
here?
we get logs. Yeah, we get logs right to our admin panel. We have a customer support that reviews like all of these logs, and then we're building out more automated banning solutions as well, right? Where if we notice something that's happening in match, for example, a person captures the flag like repeatedly, right? They say they captured a flag one time and then they captured another flag within a second. Like we know that's a hack. It's just actually physically impossible to capture two flags in a 1 second time period, right? So we are working on stuff that will automatically kick those players basically. So we're running like in-game bans, we're running out of game bans where we're looking through like their historical records. We are doing all of this type of stuff right now. So like I said, it's our top priority.
Yeah, and I think that's incredibly interesting. Just to pivot back, because I'm still like this, I'm like the open economy junkie. I love that's what I think is truly insane, because I've played games and people set up these real world trading and economies anyway, and it just adds a very like it should have just been in the game anyway. But regardless,
Exactly.
I'm sure you agree with me on that, which is
Yeah,
why you're taking on this project.
yeah.
But
Exactly.
just touching on some of the in-game items, there's a lot. There's premium NFTs, there's regular NFTs. Can we start there?
Yeah, so think about premium NFTs as limited quantity, right? So every season we will do a premium NFT drop. There will always be a fixed quantity of those NFTs. Regular NFTs, so I guess there's two classes, and I'll give you the terminology that we use. So
Perfect.
there's premium drop NFTs, and then you'll notice in our FAQs, we call regular NFTs the loot collection. So for example, these are NFTs that you could win from the battle pass, NFTs that you can win from like clan wars or these other social types of mechanics, and these are of unlimited quantity. Like you might not know how many of that specific NFT will be produced. There will always be slight variations, but there will never be, like our premium drop that we're doing on December 6th in partnership with Magic Eden is it's a 10,000 unit drop of our season 1 characters, which are season 1 is called like Vikings in the Miniverse. So there will only be ever 10,000 units of that specific drop, versus for a battle pass, right? If we have 1 million players, 1 million NFTs might be produced. If we have 10 million players, 10 million NFTs might be produced. We just don't know the actual like max quantity. So that's how we differentiate between premium and then regular.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So for these premium NFTs, I know you guys are just holding out on it just a little bit to kind of combat bots for the NFT drop. I'm curious, is there sort of any utility for these NFTs in the sense, I know it's like your avatar in the game. Is it something where these early adopters who kind of jump on the first NFTs, are you thinking about any way of incorporating them more into the project?
Yeah, for sure. So um, this is our Genesis collection, right? This is the first like season 1 like premium drop that we'll ever release. So that makes it special, like intrinsically. But every season will have its own set of premium NFTs, and all premium NFTs do have holding benefits, whether that is the ability to earn more in a battle pass, basically to boost the battle pass number of points that you get per match, whether it's to enter specific types of quests. Like I mentioned, I think on our town hall, you heard there are 6 holding benefits. We've released 2 of them so far. Like we're releasing 1 new holding benefit every week for the next now 4 weeks, and I'm updating everything on the FAQ. So it's faq.miniroyale.io. But yeah, there are holding benefits for these NFTs. And the last one that we just released was the ability to like quote unquote like breed NFTs from different seasons together to eventually create like a golden final form of that NFT. So think of this as like the transmogrification type of thing that you would see in Diablo. So Diablo 3, right? It had the ability to like recolor your character or dye your character. So eventually, if you breed your NFTs, long enough, you could end up with like a golden version or some animated version of that NFT, which just makes it look like extra cool in a match.
Yeah, and then it always comes down to, right, like the intersection of gaming and NFTs is great because no one's asking you about the utility that any of your skins have in real world gaming. Like it's people just like the skins for what they do. So having sort of a little extra utility, maybe a bonus in battle pass points, like I think it just makes it all the better and takes it to the next step. I am curious, you guys have a ton of items, and I think like the very general thing that I am understanding is that there will be no sort of combat changes to PvP no matter what items you have, and it's only in PvE. Is this correct?
That is correct. Like there is 0 pay to win. All PvP matches, there's no power creep at all. Any sort of leveling of your weapons or leveling of your armor is only applicable in PvE, where it makes sense, right? And the PvE that we're going to be making, it's co-op PvE. So like I said before, everything in this game is meant to be extremely social. So even the PvP missions will be social. You playing in real time, like with your friends, going and trying to complete a mission, trying to kill some, crazy boss character. The goal for us is like, and I'm sure you saw in like in some of these articles or even on our homepage, like our company motto is like hyper social games with player driven economies. So one way to be hyper social is by always allowing people to play with their friends, whether that's in PvP, PvE, clans, etc.
Yeah, and then I think that just gets really fun, right? You start to open up like things like grinding dungeons, and I think that's always super fun in games, really trying to get that certain item drop, and then it's an NFT. And then it gets into things like I'm just thinking like into the high stakes mode. Now you're sort of talking my speed when you get into I'm just
the ability
thinking about
to lose. Perma loss.
Exactly. And like I used to play a couple games that are perma loss or kind of have these high stakes, and it's just that's always really fun. It adds competitive, but then jumping in that stuff with your friends is always a great time there. And now this sort of segues into just what I really think is the super crazy part and over to the land. Like there's a lot to unpack here. I know you mentioned public and private land earlier. Do we want to start there and then maybe get into mining and refining or wherever you think suits best from there?
Yeah, wherever. So we can start with public and private land. So think about private land it's a piece of land that a player actually owns, right? It's owned by another person, and that person specifically gets the benefits from other people mining or refining on their land. So say I own land A and you come to my piece of land and you refine your orbs on my piece of land. I set a percentage on my refinery that says, if you want to use my refinery, I get the percentage of enriched orbs that are produced from that refinery every single time you use it. So that's private land. Public land is just land that is not owned by players. So this is trying to prevent the use case where somebody comes weirdly, right? It's like I think when you're dealing with an open economy, anything can happen, right? So you can have some hedge fund that tries to corner the market on land and buy every single piece of land in the game. So our solution for that was, okay, there's this concept of public land, which can never be player owned and is always something that can be used, right? Because we don't want a mechanic to all of a sudden break if somebody tries to do something like malicious to the game, right? So private land, player owned, public land, just owned by the game DAO. So that's one thing. I think moving on to buildings. on the piece of land. So there are 2 primary buildings right now on a land, and more additional buildings will be added with additional functionality as the game evolves. So the two buildings right now are the refinery, which you use to basically convert orbs into enriched orbs, and then the mine, which you use to mine engram fragments. Engram fragments are essentially parts of an NFT, right? So you combine enough engram fragments, and then you convert those engram fragments into an engram, which can be converted or minted into an NFT. And that engram could be, a variety of things. It could produce a pistol, it could produce an AK, it could produce another building. It can be anything.
Yeah, and I think on the white paper, just to jump in, it's very elaborately put as the refined orbs. I don't know if I use the right term there, or almost like the
enriched
event
orbs.
ticket.
Yeah,
enriched orbs.
Enriched orbs. The event tickets for social events. Exactly.
Exactly. And then the what was the other item? The
engram fragments.
Engram fragments. Engrams. There you go. And those are like almost like crates. You put the parts together and you get some sort of NFT. So I think that was just like a very nice way to put it into traditional gaming terms. To push a step further, there's also this concept I was looking at in the white paper of land rulers versus land owners. And I think this sort of touches on that same thing of having a balanced game and promoting social activity. If you want to open up.
Yeah, I would say this is the most fundamental part of like the game. And like one of our big goals with creating this game is making all parts of the game extremely social, right? The shooter social by nature because you're playing with others. And the land gameplay also needs to be social. And what we saw in a lot of other, blockchain games is that sometimes a person buys a piece of land and they sit on it. They never do anything with that piece of land. That's not social at all, right? We want to say that a person like a hedge fund should never be able to buy a piece of land and do absolutely nothing with it. There should always be the potential for somebody else to come and say, you know what, like I might not own this piece of land, but I am going to, sort of rate it. I'm going to take a portion of all resources produced by this piece of land by claiming ruling over it. So you have this bifurcation between land owners and land rulers. So you have a piece of land, you're not doing anything with it. I'm just going to go take it over, and now I'm going to get a percentage of all, engram fragments or all enriched orbs produced by your piece of land. And then of course, like you might say, like you might come back into the game at some point and you might say, oh shoot, like Alex seems to be, now the ruler of my piece of land. I need to take control back. So now there's this constant like tug of war, and clans obviously participate in this. So I go to your piece of land and I say, wow, this piece of land is like super defended, like has a ton of walls, has a ton of defenses on it. Like I probably can't take it over by myself, but my clan, if I get them all to come help me, like they're going to come help me so we have this concept of staking guns, right? So it's like guns have a power, like a power level, like an offensive power level. Your land has a defensive power level. As long as the number of guns staked on that piece of land overcome the defensive power level of your piece of land, I can now claim ownership. I might not have enough guns in my inventory, but if I get everybody in my clan to come and stake their guns to help me, then yeah, we might be able to take over that piece of land together as a unit. So this is all just like extremely social types of gameplay.
Yeah, and I think this is what is incredibly unique. It kind of adds that second layer of like true open world economy where you're really thinking like, okay, what is you really get into like, in I guess trader terms, is like the expected value of what you want to be doing, how you should be optimizing certain resources. And this is all built, I think somewhere you guys refer to it as like this meta or overarching kind of thing on top of the gameplay that you guys already have. And I think it's great how they almost sync together in the sense that the PvP is not affected by any of these items or anything, but it's synced in the sense of event tickets, and owning the land gets slight more NFTs. And there's just so many different layers. And I think that is what is truly unique, like really exploring the ideas of open economy and just having it out there. Like something, if this was around when I was playing something like Battlefield Heroes years ago, like who knows? I
Mhm.
probably would have never gotten off that game, just in the sense like, okay, I can get bored of shooting. I may reach my own skill cap, but maybe I'm more of like a strategic player who likes to think about um, real time strategy, what I need to be doing. That has like those aspects. So I think bridging both of those concepts has a lot to do with retaining both types of gamers.
For sure. I think that what you said is like super, super important. So I think I'll touch on this in two ways. The first way is I think in blockchain gaming, you have seen a lot of non-gamers become gamers. And there's a lot of people that might not want to play the shooter part of the game, but they might want to play this like more economic oriented, like land control, land ruling part of the game. So I think that's one thing that's really important. Like because there's a lot a lot of people that are not traditional gamers playing these blockchain games, we need to have parts of the game for everybody. So that's I think that's point number one. Point number two is that sometimes like a person that initially came into the game playing the shooter, they might change. Like they might grow up, right? And all of a sudden, or they might not have enough time, and they might say, you know what, I'm not going to be playing the shooter game, but I'm still really interested in this game. I still have all my friends here. My community is here. Like I want to participate in some way. So now I'm going to be this like mastermind. I'm going to go like really deep into this like land control oriented part of the game. And I think that's really powerful because you've sort of seen this behavior emerge in games like Eve, right? Where some of the best players in the game, they no longer even log into the game. They're sort of playing this mastermind role where they're sort of controlling their clans just over text message. And they're just actively, they're not, might not be playing the game in a traditional sense of the word, but they are still playing the game, right, in a very meaningful way.
Yeah, and something when you say this that just pops straight into my head, and I know I just keep throwing out the game analogies, but it's just fun because no one else is exploring this open economy. So like to think of all the different routes and possibilities, it's sweet. But I'm like an extreme risk nerd. Like I will just
Mhm.
hop on risk and play risk. And this is like a very similar type thing. It's like risk on crack with another game embedded, like a FPS embedded in it. So I
Mhm.
think there's like multiple layers, just to even throw out another analogy that just sort of pops in my head. And that's why I would be very interested in the land thing. Like
Yeah.
you're catering to both gamers, while as like I send this to my friends in one of my old gaming discords, and they're like, yeah, this is actually a pretty sweet FPS. Like it, the really sweet thing too is like, what's stopping you from grinding something like Mini Royale while you're in a queue time for another game? Like nothing is stopping you
Nothing.
from doing that as well. So I think there's lots of layers to this. To sort of circle back, and I think we've like this stream has touched on it, but I'm curious for your like well-rounded answer on it. How do you guys aim to attract mainstream gamers? You have this idea of on-chain and off-chain, and ideally the main goal is to convert everyone on-chain, but how are you looking to bridge over traditional gamers? And I mean, this
Yeah.
is like the golden question, right? In all of GameFi.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So there are three types of players that we have and will anticipate having. Um, and we want this game to be free to play. We do not want to say there's any pay gate to experience the fun and experience the community in this game. So those three players are broken down into the following. The first player is a guest player, right? That player doesn't even need to have a username, doesn't need to have a Web3 wallet, doesn't need to have anything. They can just come in and say, I want to try out this game. And if I like it, maybe I'll move to the next stage. The next stage is you're registering a username. So you're giving your email and password, and now you have a username in the game. And that allows you to do other things in the game, right? It allows you to, join clans. It allows you to participate in the battle pass. Basically, any sort of interaction where you would be saving some progress to an account level state, right? So that's stage two. Stage three is okay, now you say, I'm a registered player. I have a username. I'm in a clan. I want to do more. Like, I really love this game. I haven't spent anything up to this point, right? But now I want to start getting more immersed into the economic part of the game. So now you say, okay, I'm going to figure out what a Web3 wallet is. So for us, it's installing a Phantom wallet or an FTX wallet. And now I'm going to be more immersed in this economic side of the part of the game. So that stage 3 player, they have a username and they have a crypto wallet attached, right? So they have their Web3 wallet attached to their account. And by doing so, they now can experience all parts of the game. So that opens up any of the parts of the game that are producing, on-chain currencies or NFTs, stuff like that, right? Because now they have a way to say, okay, all of those, on-chain tokens, right, Cheddar and Royales, or all of those NFTs will now be saved to their, to their Web3 wallet. And I think it's really important that when we're talking about making a really mass market game, you aren't limiting your game to only the people that know what a Web3 wallet is, or how to, how to hook up your Web3 wallet to, your game account. I think you also just need to make sure that you are giving people a way to experience the fun before you force them to go out and buy an NFT or buy tokens. Like, this is the reason why free to play exploded, right? It's like, instead of paying $60 and not even knowing whether you'd like the game, pay $0. You download the game, you say, okay, like, I really like it. Now I'm going to start paying for it, and trying to participate more in the economy. So yeah, I think if we're talking about reaching the next billion players or onboarding the next billion people into Web3, you have to do it through the more of this phased approach.
Definitely. And just to jump in there, I think that funnel makes a lot of sense. Like, I jumped on the first day, the first maybe 5-10 matches I played, I was just playing on a guest account, and it was like, okay, cool, this is sweet. You can send the link, fire it away straight to my friends. They are not asking any questions, they're hopping in the game. And then you just kind of have this moment as a gamer, like, there's not even blockchain yet, but then you have this moment, it's like, yo, why do these guys have cooler skins than me and they're leveling up? I'm going to make an account real quick. And then the same funnel is just like, that first funnel is a very easy transition, right? Every gamer is going to sign up with an email. But then now you're somewhere in between, and you sort of have this idea where it's like, yo, why does that guy have even cooler stuff? And you're telling me he's making money. And that's sort of that last conversion to blockchain. And it's almost like incremental. And I think that funnel makes a lot of sense to touch on that.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't. If I told you had to spend $1,000 in order to even try this game, like, the amount of friction there is crazy. You would have probably just thought a lot about whether you're willing to do that. So yeah, we don't want people thinking. We just want people, like, going in, experiencing the fun, and then deciding for themselves whether or not they want to go deeper into the game.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. And I'm kind of down to the end of my questions here. So I don't know if you want to jump into maybe a couple matches here real quick, give some time to maybe drop some questions in. I might even try to snipe you here on a lobby if possible.
Let's see this thing. I'm gonna drop into a just like a live match, I think. Let me check this out.
You should be able to get that going, and then I'll add your screen. Let me know if you have any issues there, but definitely be fun, right? That's the cool part about this. We get to jump in and just check some things out.
Yeah, so I think I'm about to go into something.
Yep. So loading in, this is just
the stream is normal. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be the most quality, but it'll work for the most part there.
Exactly. Let's see which loadout I do.
Okay, so we're getting to see the juiced loadouts here.
Yeah, we're gonna see like the dev loadout. And we tried to rebalance things a little bit to make it more tactical, like to give more strategy. People are really good right now.
Yeah, I've been having so much fun with the shotgun.
Yeah, it's insane. We might need to nerf it a little bit.
No, and that's the thing about games, right? This is always a ongoing sort of balance updates. Like, you never get away from it, and that's just
exactly. And the nice thing about like the way that we're making this game is we're going to the community and we're saying like, hey, what do you think? Like, do you think this is like overpowered? How do you want this game to feel? It's like, this can be like a very like b-hopping oriented type of game. This can be a little bit more tactical. A lot of people were saying, especially the people that were new, they were coming in saying like, the time to kill was just way too fast. Like, we need to go and find like a more tactical way to do this game. I'm getting rocked by these people.
It definitely happens. There's some crazy good people.
Yeah. I think it probably is it lagging on your end a little bit because of the stream?
Yeah, I think
it's fine on my end.
I think for the most part it's pretty clear. But I also won't make you suffer here and take questions while trying to play for too much.
Let's do it. I can do it. Let's do
it. All right. So we definitely just some things like I'm thinking about, even just bunny hopping. So last night I was like, I gotta play. Like I've been wanting to play and I finally had a great excuse. I'm like, I'm doing a bit of homework. I'm researching for the stream tomorrow. And I think it's definitely just thinking about these things, right? Is it bunny hop oriented, balancing these guns? And it's really up to the community, right? So what I'm having a ton of fun with is jumping around and just nailing people with shotguns. And the really cool part about gaming is if the community gets pissed off with me and this isn't cool, and the general consensus is, okay, we want this nerfed a little bit, it's able to be done. So I think that's something that people really need to understand, in the sense that this is your guys' minimal product, right? You haven't even got the blockchain hooked up. You put the game out, let's get the feedback, start building. And now you guys really have, this fundraise you guys just did, I'm sure helps so much on development end of things. So I sent out a tweet and it's things are just getting started here. It really seems like this is literally, let's put this out and start getting the community's feedback.
Exactly.
And I just think it's, go ahead.
No, so for us, we believe the riskiest part of making a game or making a blockchain game is actually just making the game. You can spend years of your life dropping an infinite number of NFTs or designing the most elaborate white paper, but in the end, if you don't make a fun game, you're screwed. So we wanted to make sure that we actually had a fun game, first and foremost, and then after that, layering on the economic incentives is a lot more straightforward than finding the fun. Finding the fun is a very I auto unlocked for myself all 40 tiers of the battle pass before.
I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I'm curious, this is another just maybe selfish question, but I know everyone else who's grinding is thinking this, do I really need to get on my ass and grind this battle pass out before the season ends? Are these going to turn into NFTs? Will these be put on chain? Have you guys thought about that?
Yeah. So that's in our FAQ. There's a section around open beta rewards. I'll play the shotgun this time. So yes, if you grind the battle pass tiers, if you get to tier 10, you get the Hot Rod MK18 as a NFT that you can use when the season 1 is released, the Viking season. If you grind to tier 34, that tier is the Dragon Racer skin. All people that grind to tier 34, they get that Dragon Racer skin as an NFT when the game relaunches as season 1. So yes, there's definitely a reason to grind the battle pass. Tier 34 is going to be a pretty rare type of skin. So yeah, we wanted to basically reward all the people that have been helping us really figure out what this game is going to be, and then really reward them for doing something pretty incredible when it comes to grinding that battle pass.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. One of viewers in here is asking if this is an NFT shooting game. Yep, it is an NFT FPS. And I would really encourage you to just kind of jump back and over a ton of really notable things. But I think what it really boils down to is the open end of the economy, the fact that Faraway is a game studio looking to build games and build an economy on top of it versus vice versa, looking to kind of not be a game studio and build a game, poorly put. But I think it's very unique. I would just recommend going back through, enjoying some of this gameplay just to get an actual idea. But definitely a lot of information we put out here. And I think the best part of this game is you can just hop on and play. It's an NFT shooting game. I guess you can maybe consider yourself early if you like, in the sense that no blockchain mechanics have been hooked up yet. And it sounds like if you do get on there and grind, you will be able to get some rare things for jumping on and helping out, kind of test out the game early on. So definitely.
And all of those blockchain aspects, they're literally ready to be released. We just are waiting for a post NFT drop, and then we're gonna obviously relaunch the game with those NFTs playable in game and Web3 wallets being able to be attached to your user account.
Definitely. And I guess another big question I have on the sense of blockchain, and I think we can start to wrap this up here. You did get a win. I
haven't been super concentrated on the shooting thing, so how about I stop streaming and then come back here?
Yep. So come back and we'll wrap this up. Again, anyone drop anything in chat while we have Alex here. This will be a really great way to get a question to him. But I'm curious, it seems like you guys are obviously doing this all incrementally. When is the sort of land and more clan aspects looking to come out? Is that going to be ready in
first half of next year? That's going to be not going to be ready this first season, but it'll be first half of next year. So we're essentially timing the land and all the social mechanics to coincide with the listing of the fungible tokens, because that's the critical point. That's like a critical component of making all of those mechanics work. So we're going to be doing our public launch of the Royale's governance token, and that'll be first half of 2022. So first half of next year.
Awesome. Yeah. And that seems super exciting there just to get it going. Just to wrap up, it doesn't seem like there are any questions in chat, just some feedback. GU agrees that the shotgun is pretty strong. It seems like we're running
shotgun is shotgun's real strong right now.
The shotgun, Alex, the shotgun isn't strong. The shotgun's fun.
Where the cool thing that we're doing is like, we're saying that for any of these like really fun but totally OP builds, like we'll just also make them into, we have like a rotating daily game mode. So it's like today is like pistols only. Sometimes we have like an adrenaline mode or like an unreal mode with like less gravity. But we have like shotguns only mode. So a lot of these like OP builds that might not be good for like all the time, or especially ranked play, we're still gonna let people have fun with.
That makes a lot of sense. That like addresses what I was just kind of joking about perfectly.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, there is no token. There's going to be a multi-token economy Royale and Cheddar. I will just point you or point to everyone to these two resources. Don't Saver was actually saying he can't wait to check out the game. Lucky you, you can already check out the game. And then here's the white paper. There's a ton to unpack here. What I did for the stream is I kind of just went through the white paper and took what excited me, what I had questions about. So I think that would be a brief way to sort of get into it, and maybe just follow along the stream with the white paper and kind of get a great idea what's going on. So I hope there's definitely value added in that sense. Alex, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add here. Maybe what is the team most excited about? I think I know the question is sort of what's coming right around the corner, but maybe you can just wrap it up with what you guys have exciting coming up, and then we'll just go from there.
I mean, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up, right? It's, everything from land, building on that land, taking over other people's land, clans, alliances, which is a clan of clans mechanic. Basically, by taking over enough land in a specific nation, you control that nation, which again gives you boosts. So there's a ton of stuff like coming up. I think if we sum it up, like what's the thing that we're most exciting about? It's honestly just like, this is like an open economy, right? We've been in, like, my co-founder and I have been in free to play games for so long, and every single game that we've ever designed is it's a closed, like, free to play economy that's typically dictated and controlled by the combination of a game designer and a live ops manager. So now you ask yourself, like, what happens when you enable the economy to be open by default? Like you said earlier, there's always these gray markets that formed in the game where people are doing stuff like gold farming or power leveling, or doing like things that they really want to do, but in this like really like opaque and not trustworthy way, right? So it's like, what happens if you make like everything, everything open, like everything legitimate? You allow people to trade amongst themselves. You allow a person to, earn an NFT than say, I want to lend it to somebody else, or I want to fractionalize my NFT. I think it's like once you have a player that has true ownership of their asset, where what they are allowed to do is not dictated any longer by the game dev, like I think the realm of possibilities like opens up significantly, right? It's like when it's on chain, they do whatever they want with it, and that I think is going to produce like a lot of emergent player behavior that I don't think we've seen before in gaming.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't have too much to add there. I'm actually going to go ahead and boot you off here, do my quick little wrap up. But thank you so much for joining, Alex. I think we're definitely going to have you on sometime soon. I don't see the updates ever stopping to roll out in the near future.
I'm on Twitter Spaces. I'm on we do a town hall every week. So yeah, definitely join our Twitter. It's at Mini Nations. Join the game. It's MiniRoyale.io. And yes, stay tuned. We have our NFT drop on the 6th. So on Monday, we have another NFT drop on December 9th on gm.miniroyale.io. And yeah, just you'll always find me on Twitter or in our Discord. But great to be here. So Greg, thanks for having me.
Yep, definitely, Alex. I will talk to you soon, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for any updates.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Yep,
Bye.
peace out, man. Awesome. So that was an amazing stream. Just to do some quick summary here, I think there's a few really big notable things, and it's kind of that idea of having already established game studios or people that are in gaming building blockchain games seems to be the route that a lot of people think will be the most successful. We've already seen a crazy successful raise for Faraway, the studio behind Mini Nations. And I think this shouldn't be understated in the sense that this opens up so many possibilities for future development and really allows this 30 to 40 person team to build things like a complete anti-cheat department, which is going to be so necessary. And I think just the things that an open economy unlocks and play to earn will be amazing for games. I'm personally really like this idea of having a more strategy-based overarching meta attached to a really fun, easy to onboard first-person shooter. So this personally is like right up my alley from playing things like Risk, Bloons Tower Defense. These might be a little bit too real-time strategy, but there's still going to be very similar components while combining it things with like Battlefield Heroes, which has been like a childhood game I always like to grind. So I think there's a really unique intersection here. And just seeing what's already built, what's behind the team, I think is truly unique. I'm going to wrap this up here, guys. I highly encourage everyone to subscribe. Definitely like the video so we can know if we want to have Alex back on. I would turn on notifications because this doesn't just stop here at Mini Nations, Solana News. This is going further to DeFi in general. We do lots of GameFi regarding BSC. We're looking to expand to some other chains as well. And it's not just GameFi, right? We're touching on all of DeFi. So definitely, if you guys enjoyed the stream, I would encourage you to come back. There's always content pumping out. Other than that, guys, I will catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you like this little overview of Mini Nations or Mini Royale and kind of looking at the game. So peace out, everyone.